Hi everyone, Materim here again with another battle report. And tonight we are taking a little break from our normal campaign that you all have been enjoying via the narrative battle reports. And my normal Britonia player, Lord Alphonius, has been starting up Dark Elves and has been really anxious to play them, so he decided to go ahead and bring those over. And after the tournament, I'm kind of needing to sit my ogres to the side for a little while and stretch the legs of my other armies. So I decided to meet him with 2,250 points of my Demons of Chaos army, which includes the new model that I'm using for a Bloodthirster because I just had the itch to go ahead and paint it this week. And now that it's all done, I wanted to give him some table time. Usually don't go for corn, but I had the model laying around that I'm using for this, so I thought it'd be a cool addition and something to give up a little change from the mostly Slaanesh side of my army. So here we are. Let's go ahead and get into it. Pretty standard board setup. Unfortunately, I didn't take these till after Vanguard, but everything's pretty normal. The only thing is that stony rock thing in the middle is actually a building. Other than that, hill, couple of extra buildings, nothing of any particular note that came up during the game in the least. So we'll get into deployment. Okay, so starting on the left, we have a unit of 10 Dark Shards, and in that is his Supreme Sorceress, who is a level 4 of Dark Magic, and she's carrying the Talisman of Preservation and Dispel Scroll. Next unit to that is 10 Black Ark Corsairs with full command, and in there is a Master with the Talisman of Protection and the Fencer's Blades. And Vanguarded up there, he has a unit of 5 Dark Riders, I believe they're called. In the back there, that unpainted unit is his Cauldron of Blood. He has a Death Hag on top of that. That's his BSB, who is carrying the Sword of Battle. And there's looks like 19 Witch Elves with full command in that unit as well. They have the War Banner. Something on his list doesn't look right. Looks like he has both a Magic Standard and a Magic Sword on the Death Hag. I don't know if that's legal or if that's something that Dark Elves are just allowed to be able to get away with, but I didn't really notice much. But yeah, I don't know Dark Elves very well, so I'm probably making a lot of mistakes, but that's okay. Then up front there, he's got another unit of 10 of the Dark Shards. Behind that is a big old unit. I think it's 9 or 8 Cold One Knights with full command. They have the Banner of Swiftness, and then his Dreadlord is in there on a Cold One with the Chilled Blade, Charm Shield, and the Shield of Rebirth, or Seed of Rebirth. And then the last thing is a Cold One Chariot there. So over here on the demon side, I have a unit of 21 Demonettes of Slaanesh with full command. Next to them is a unit of 10 Pink Horrors of Zenich, and the spell they ended up getting was Glean Magic, so I was figuring this would be great. I'd get a chance to cast some Dark Magic if I can blast his wizard, so that's pretty much what I'm aiming for with those guys, but we'll see how it goes. Then on the hill, I have my 6 Furies. Tonight I'm trying them with Mark of Corn. Then I have 20 Daemonettes of Slaanesh, and in there is Bria, the Bearer of the Sign, who is my Battle Standard Bearer. She has the Greater Gift that gave her +2 attacks. Behind that is a Soul Grinder, Mark Nurgle. Up front, barely vanguarded, is 5 Seekers of Slaanesh. Then there is, behind that, the Exalted Chariot is actually another character. I have Chiron the Tamer, my Herald of Slaanesh, on the Exalted Seeker Chariot. And I gave it the Exalted Locus of Beguilement because I'm going to try and play a few games with forcing challenges and things like that. And then hiding behind the building is Caldragor, my Bloodthirster of Corn. He has an Exalted Gift that I defaulted for the Eternal Blade, and then he had the Lesser Gift that gave him the Strength 2 Breath Weapon with no armor saves, which I never needed to use the whole game. And then you can't see it here, and there might be a better picture of it later, but I have 2 Nurgling bases that are scouted along the left side of the board at the top. Okay, and Demons won first turn, and the first thing I was super happy with was the fact that he didn't have any repeater bolt throwers. So I figured my Bloodthirster is just going to get up there in something's face and not need to worry about it. So as you can see here, I moved up pretty aggressively. The pink horrors are just moving along that left side of the picture there so they can get within 18 inches of his Supreme Sorceress, hoping to just start throwing Glean Magic and maybe getting one through. I end up getting my chaff in the face of his chaff, and I'm working the Furies up the side there. Hopefully just to go take out one of his little shooty units. I put him in front of the Black Ark Corsairs, frankly not realizing how butch a unit that was, so I'm going to pay for that. And I end up getting the Soul Grinder just close enough to try and grape shot his chaff, so we'll see where that's going. I'm kind of running out of some room here. Everything's getting a little choked up. But I figure once I clear that chaff and we'll be able to kind of push through that area, it'll work itself out. But again, a lot of this sort of very aggressive push forward is based mostly on the fact that I've never played Dark Elves before, and I was really kind of underestimating them. I was thinking, they're just strength 3 elves, or toughness 3 elves, big whoop, let's see what happens. And so that's pretty much what I do there. And over here you see my Nurgling bases. I knew I had a better picture of them. Basically moving up here to threaten the side of that shooting unit. I want to tie him up and basically restrict him from being able to run away from the pink horrors, who, like I said, my ultimate plan is to blast that mage into non-existence with Glean Magic, even though, again, little misunderstanding of my odds there. And then over here on this flank, you see where Kaldrigor the Bloodthirster came. I don't want to deal with those with those Coldwind Knights at all. So my thought here is I can just blast through the chariot, maybe the archers on this side, and just start taking points without having to deal with them immediately. So we go into Magic. Didn't do anything. He ended up Dispel Scrolling. I rolled really high on Glean Magic, but no miscast, so he Dispel Scrolled it. Over here, I ended up rolling insanely well, like 10 shots with the Grape Shot from the Soul Grinder, and blew his chaff to Kingdom Come. Which is good, because I really needed to not get choked up there in the middle and not allow him to choose his battles. So we go into the Dark Elves first turn, and he lands a pretty easy charge with the Black Ark Corsairs against the Chaos Furies. I was thinking the Chaos Furies could kind of hold their own. Again, I didn't really think about the character being there, plus always strikes first, and that whole re-rolling ones onto wounds thing. So yeah, he's pretty much going to eat those girls up. And sorry for the blurry picture here. I don't know where my phone chooses to focus sometimes. But you can see up front he tried a charge with the chariot, I think, into my Seekers, and I chose to flee, and that's where his failed charge ends up. And you can see down at the bottom in that blur of purple where the Seekers ended up. I still think that's a good idea. And then over here he about faces to try and shoot the Nurglings. I think this is one point where my opponent actually underestimated me. Each of those Nurgling bases has a bunch of wounds, plus they're skirmishers. They're not easy to shoot, and they're definitely not easy to kill via shooting. But on the other hand, if he's shooting at them, he's not shooting at Daemonettes or something else he could realistically kill. And so then during normal movement, he fails a swift reform on his Coldwind Knight, so they just turn to look at the Bloodthirster. And then he stumbles forward, or I guess not stumbles forward, he moves forward with the Cauldron of Blood and the whole pack of Witch Elves he has there. It's kind of hard to tell what they are from this picture, but like I said, he was really anxious to get them on the field, so he's still working through painting them. And during his magic phase, he ended up getting some sort. I think it was Power of Darkness. It was called. It gave him a plus strength bonus. So during combat, he blew through the Furies, and his carryover actually did enough so that he touched the Seekers and destroyed them as well. So this is after his reform, where he's looking at pretty much all my units. So then we go into the next demon turn, and I started off by, you know what, why not just charge the Nurglings right in? And I think at this point, maybe he did it. Yeah, I think he did it last turn. His mage is actually not in that unit anymore. She's hiding in front of the building. I don't hardly ever get a good picture of her because she's just totally hiding from me at this point. And here we see my Bloodthirster making what is going to be the perfect charge for me. I pretty much realize that this Cold One Chariot has no chance against a pissed off Bloodthirster with the Eternal Blade. So I'm going to chew through them, carry over into the Dark Shards there, probably annihilate them to a man. But the big part is I can't carry on past that, but I don't need to, because that will get me behind the front arc of the Cold Ones. So if I destroy the Dark Shards, reform into the flank of those Cold One Riders, I basically will be able to get the charge on him. Even if he manages to Swift Reform next turn, I've got the turn after that, I've just got a big old charge into that unit, and they're going to have a hard time dealing with a Bloodthirster. And then here I charge my unit of Daemonettes into the Corsairs. My only hope here is that I'm always strikes first as well because of the Herald. Figuring that I'd be able to strike at the same time, maybe kill them. There's only 10 of them. So I was figuring I was doing pretty good, although I did think I I don't know if I remembered that he had the strength buff when I did this. And then everything else you see moves up. What my hope is with my character on the Exalted Chariot, I want to get into that unit of Witch Elves and challenge his Death Hag. Again, not really estimating how good the Death Hag was, so... and then the other thing, you see the pink horrors move in the building just because that's where his caster is hiding behind, and I wanted to get line of sight on it again. So we go into combat. Again, he stops my magic cold, and I don't have any viable shooting targets at this point. So we go into combat. He doesn't do anything to the Nurgling bases, and the Nurglings manage to kill a single Dark Shard. And I think he wins, but I don't crumble at all from demonic instability because I did a real good roll. Now, here I did way better than I thought I was going to. The Always Strike First, he didn't do, but I think he did 4 wounds to me, and then the Daemonettes just opened up on him. With the extra 2 hits, or 2 attacks, my BSB has got 6 attacks at Strength 4, and I just chewed the unit up. We ended up breaking him, and he didn't run very well, so I ran him down, which puts that depleted Daemonette unit right in the path of the Witch Elves. And pretty much as I expected, I overran into the Dark Shard unit, but because there's no combat over here, we don't get to keep fighting. But the Bloodthirster is... I mean, there's no chance those Dark Shards are going to be able to handle the Bloodthirster at all. I mean, even if he didn't have the Eternal Blade, which just makes matters worse. So we go into what is Dark Elf, I think turn 3. The Witch Elves charge right in the face of my Daemonettes, which I was thinking, you know what, this shouldn't be too bad. I mean, the Witch Elves are just strength 3. I should be able to sort of handle this. But again, a lot of this game, I'm still trying to get a feel for what the Dark Elves do and see how they match up against my units. And here, to make matters worse, he rolls Stupidity for his Cold One Riders and fails. And he's just outside of the range for the BSB reroll. So he ends up stumbling forward like 3 inches, which pretty much Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble there because these dark shards are about to get devoured, and then I'm still going to have a flank on my turn into those cold ones. Uh, so magic, I managed to stop his magic. He doesn't have any viable shooting anymore. Oh, you can see just at the top of that building, you can see his dark elf sorceress girl. It's probably the only shot I get of her all game. Um, but so we go into combat. He ends up doing 6 wounds to me. I think I killed 1 or 2 witch elves, which was kind of sad. But I didn't lose too much from the crumble, so we're good. So Bloodthirster does kills all but 2 of the witch elves, or not the witch elves, the dark shards. And because this was an overrun, I couldn't pursue. Not that I really wanted to anyway. So they run off by themselves, and I turn around to face the delicious side of the Cold One Knights with my turn looming. And then over on this side, the just through just a ridiculous amount of good luck, the Dark Shards over here just put an absolute beating on the Nurgling bases. He didn't kill him in combat. I think like one Nurgling base had 1 wound left, and then once we figured out everything and I just bombed the leadership check, I think he took 11 wounds from demonic instability or something. Just blew him off the map. So he reformed this way. And then Oh no, okay, I know where those first models went. That first model, his sorcerer cast a vortex through me, took off the last line of models. That's what it was. So this is actually combat here. I end up doing 3 wounds to the witch elves, and he killed all but 2 of my daemonettes, including my BSB. And this was when I realized that death hag is no freaking joke. So we go to demon turn 4. Chiron the Tamer and her exalted chariot slam into the front of the witch elves so hard that Chiron's arm breaks and falls off, where you can see it laying on the floor there. Yeah, that's the thing. I like the way these Slanesh models look, but by God are they delicate. And they always seem to put a very delicate piece right where you want to grab the model, which is super annoying. And then here goes my Bloodthirster right into the side of those Cold One Knights. Now, my opponent still feels pretty confident at this point. He's like, well, I'll challenge with my Dark Lord. But yeah, his Dark Lord is like 238 points, and this kitted out Bloodthirster is a full 500 points of just demon beat stick. So I'm really not concerned at this point. I don't think the Dark Elves have any model 1-for-1 that'll stand to the Bloodthirster. And then in extra movement here, I move up the Soul Grinder to get around to the side of the or the Witch Elves. Also to give me a shot at those 2 little fleeing bastards. Because I want the points for that. We're playing by the book, so if those 2 guys survive, I don't get any points for it. So I'm hoping to just do a stupid amount of overkill with Grape Shot and blow their freaking pointy-eared heads off. And then over here you just see my other unit of Daemonettes is moving up to kind of support. Because at this point I know those 2 little Daemonettes that are still there from that first unit are not going to survive. So I want something there in case things go very, very, very badly for me. So it's mainly just good backup. Alright, so we go into combat here in the middle, and obviously the last 2 Daemonettes for that unit just get brutalized. I force his BSB to accept the challenge with the Exalted Chariot, and ends up doing 4 wounds to the Chariot, and I think I do 1 wound to the BSB, so that didn't work at all. I was very unhappy about that. But I just underestimated the Witch Elf. And over here, yeah, he steps up his Lord, and even with Always Strikes First, his Lord doesn't do any wounds to the Bloodthirster. and I just absolutely brutalized him. I killed him with the 5 overkill plus all the other combat res. He needed double ones and was out of the BSB, so they broke and got ran down. So then we go to, I think this is Dark Elf turn 4. You see the one guy running, he failed to rally, so that... Oh, I did shoot one of the two with Grape Shot, which was lame. I didn't get both of them. But so he's still running. You can see the sorceress a little. She's changed her position, so she's going to vortex down the line again, and that's pretty much all the movement because everything else is engaged. And during magic, vortexes down the line again, bringing the chariot's wounds up to 6. So there's 6 wounds on the chariot, 1 on the chick on the back of it at this point, and I think. I don't remember what stat I was rolling against to avoid this, but I think the Soul Grinder missed it and didn't take any wounds. That seems to be my recollection. So then we go into I guess okay, yeah, we go into my next turn. He doesn't manage. I do kill the BSB that turn. He doesn't manage to kill the chariot, but it's like 1 wound left. And then on my turn, I charge the Soul Grinder into the side of the Witch Elves and bring the Bloodthirster around so that I'll be able to charge next turn. But since he was facing the other way, I didn't get the charge there. And then I just kind of reposition again my Daemonettes because there's really nothing for them to do. I didn't leave myself a wide enough area for them to get in. But at least this way I've got to look at the Sorceress. So if that unit of Witch Elves breaks or gets beaten, I'll still have a charge against the Sorceress if the Exalted Chariot is out of the way. And that's pretty much what happens. Magic was a wash. I ended up not getting anything off again. Big whoop. And during combat, the Soul Grinder did enough wounds with his Thunder Stomp that caused us to win, and the Witch Elves broke. They did kill the Exalted Chariot and the chick on that, finally, because there was no one else to challenge. But so they broke, but I didn't catch them. I rolled 2 inches less, and that's where they end up. Actually, I think this is start of Dark Elf 5. Dark Elves rally. The one little running dude is still running, but he's only running like 2 inches, so he's not off the board yet. And pretty much rallied, and the other, that archer unit at the top turns around, basically just trying to shoot a bunch of crap into the Soul Grinder just to get some sort of damage, but he's hitting on 4s, wounding on 6s, so on my turn, and again here, sorry for the blurry picture, just because my phone autofocuses and there's too much going on here. But by the way the combat went, it actually led me enough of a line of sight on the Sorcerer. So I was like, you know what? I'm tired of these vortexes coming through. Bloodthirster's going to eat him some naked Dark Elf chick. So yeah, that's going to be bad for her. As no mage is going to stand up to that. And okay, I think this is just a clearer picture. So sorry for that first one. This is, I guess, a slightly better picture of the same thing. So we go into combat, and needless to say, the Bloodthirster just absolutely murders the Supreme Sorceress and reforms. At this point, I was thinking of sending him to go hunt down and kill that one last little dude just so I could get the points for it. And so here you see combat with the Soul Grinder. I think he does a couple of wounds. It's back and forth, but I ended up winning by 1. Yeah, I think that's what it ends up coming. I end up winning by 1. So he's making leadership on, I think it's 7 with no reroll, and ends up failing it. So he ends up breaking, and I end up rolling 2 less than I needed to actually catch him and run him down. So this is where we go into his last turn, or his turn 5. Yeah, I think I've had the turns wrong. So I think this is 5, because I get one more turn and I'm going to run him down. But yeah, he fails to rally here, and that's really all he had the opportunity to do. I think he took some pot shots at the Bloodthirster, but it didn't work. So at the top of my turn 6, All I had to do was run him down, and you can see where that is. I also declared a charge with the Bloodthirster into the archers. They stood and shot and did nothing. But needless to say, once the Witch Elves were gone, my opponent realized that the game was pretty much up because he didn't really have anything left. Although I will note with some amusement that that one little running guy is still on the board, so I didn't actually get any points for them. Alright, so we have a pretty major victory for the Demons of Chaos, and all in all, I think it was a pretty interesting list. The Bloodthirster is just an absolute beast. The one thing I did pretty much note, though, is that his stats are so high that, yeah, the extra strength, extra attacks are okay from the Eternal Blade, but it's almost a waste. I mean, there's a lot of it where he wasn't getting the bonuses for it because he was capping out at 10. Um, but really, I mean, he was just absolute beastly. I mean, I spent almost a full 25% of the points for this list on that guy. And the Dark Elves, because they didn't take any repeater bolt throwers, literally had nothing on the board that was going to be able to stop that Bloodthirster. Maybe if he had got lucky with some of the dark magic, but that just wasn't happening. Mainly because his Sorcerer Supreme girl was on the opposite end of the battle. But as far as my impressions on Dark Elves for the first time, first of all, I'm pretty certain that their repeater bolt throwers need to be auto includes, probably at least two. Um, because there's really nothing in that army that I saw. I mean, maybe he's not using some of the stuff that could, but there's really not a whole lot in that army that's going to deal with big nasty monsters, like the Bloodthirster. So I think the two bolt throwers are auto includes, and he has some. He just hasn't put them together yet. And while he was willing to play with unpainted miniatures, he wasn't just going to drop a pile of bits on the table and tell me it was a bolt thrower, for which I appreciate. Um, but yeah, the Death Hag was way stronger than I thought. Although I'm gonna have to check with him and see if the Sword of Battle and the Rampager standard is legal. I'm thinking not, but I don't know. Maybe the Dark Elves have some special wonky thing where their BSBs are allowed to take weapons, magic weapons too. But I don't know. The Dreadlord, he might have been good had he not been facing 500 points of Bloodthirster. Um, the putting him on a cold one was probably a mistake. Um, I the cold ones are neat and they're awesome models, but stupidity is rough to put your general on. I mean, yeah, it's a leadership 10, but I mean, he boxcarred it and ended up leaving his. I mean, it was just a huge amount of points that he just left ripe for the picking. Um, so there wasn't anything there. All in all, I think that the Witch Elves are freaking amazing. Particularly when you got the Cauldron of Blood and the Death Hag and all of their just stupid stack on, stack on, stack on bonuses. Um, the Black Ark Corsairs I actually kind of like, but I think they need to be in much, much larger groups than 10. Um, and I think he probably went with too many. I mean, and I think he was doing certain characters just so that he could fill out his points. But I mean, really, he could have passed on that master and doubled the size of the Black Ark Corsair unit, and I think been in a much stronger position. They could have done some serious pain to my lighter units like the Daemonettes and things like that. So, all in all, it was a very fun game. It was a definite sort of switch gears for both of us. It's been a while since my Daemons got brought out. I'm currently working on. I've got just a huge backlog of new stuff for them. That's all sitting in a box that's primed and ready to go. And the first one that I forced myself to make time with was the Bloodthirster. So I like not utilizing new models until they're fully painted. It's a little bit of a superstition with me. I think that unpainted miniatures get mad at me and they do bad. So I try not to play with them if they're unpainted unless I have absolutely no other choice. So you'll see probably over the next few weeks as I do the additions to the demon army piecemeal. Like you'll just all of a sudden I'll start having plague bearers or the corn cannon, which I do actually have. It's primed and painted and ready to go. We'll see how it works. I got some plague drones, stuff like that, but I don't use any of that stuff unless it's painted. So it might be a while, particularly with the fact that I just have not had any time lately to get any of it done. But we're kind of hoping to have a group paint and bowl session this weekend, where we just kind of all get together and sit around on my kitchen table and paint models and just shoot the shit. So hopefully I'll get some stuff done then and be able to show you guys some new stuff. So this is game one of two that we did that night. So I'll be having been the victor of this one, I will keep the same list and take on a new army in the next battle report that I hope to have posted shortly. So again, if you like what you saw, subscribe, like, comment. Let me know if you saw us do something good, bad, indifferent, what have you. I definitely like lively commentary on the sites, provided that they don't devolve into just angry rules arguments, which were kind of on the border on one of my other one of the other comment threads in doing. But as long as you can play nice, you can play in my yard. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I very much had fun doing this one, and we will catch you next time.